What's up, good people? I'm just Major. You saw the title. You like the Marjorie. We're here to talk about it. Ben and Jerry's. One of the co-founders is stepping down. So let's find out which one and why. Here we go.
The co-founder of an iconic ice cream brand stepping down today. You probably heard of this Ben and Jerry's split. Jerry Greenfield is leaving. He says he's out. He's done with the company that he co-founded nearly 50 years ago because of political differences with their parent company, Unilever. Now, his co-founder, Ben, of Ben & Jerry's, Ben Cohen, posted a statement from Jerry on X. And in it, Greenfield says for more than 20 years, the company has stood up for peace, justice, and human rights thanks to a unique agreement that the two negotiated with Unilever back in 2000. Now, he says the basis of that deal is gone at a time when the current administration is, and I'm quoting here, attacking civil rights. Remember, politics is as much a part of Ben & Jerry's as Cherry Garcia and Chunky Monkey, right? You know this. They've been really vocal about social issues for years and years and years, from Black Lives Matter to Palestinian human rights. I want to go ahead now and bring in one of the co-founders.
I'll say this. When it comes to politics and business, you nearly, without a shadow of a doubt, cannot mix the two. It's almost like business and pleasure. You cannot mix the two. And I'll also say this. Freedom of speech isn't as free as you think. People think they can just say anything about anyone at any time. Man, listen, that will get you hemmed up so fast, especially when you start talking about politics in another country. So yeah. All right, carry on.
Founders of that company, Ben Cohen, co-founder of Ben & Jerry's. And what I understand, Ben, is your first TV interview. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Yep, good to be here, Hallie.
All right, so let me start with this. You are staying, Jerry is leaving. This is somebody you've been in lockstep with, at least publicly, for literally decades. Why is this happening? Why the split?
Well, you know, Jerry has a really big heart. And, you know, this conflict with Unilever has been tearing him apart for quite some time now. And, you know, I think this is the right move for Jerry in terms of his personal, you know, health. And what's most important to him and what's most important to me is the values of Ben & Jerry's. And Jerry felt like the values are getting muzzled by Unilever and now Magnum, and he couldn't stand it. And so he's decided to resign. For me, my heart says to keep fighting, and Jerry is very supportive of that, to try to keep the values and to keep the heart and soul of Ben & Jerry's alive. And I believe that we'll be able to do that, that we'll be able to create enough consumer demand, pressure on Magnum to see the light and, you know, just abide by the acquisition agreement and allow Ben & Jerry's to become owned by a group of socially aligned investors. That's what Jerry wants. That's what I want. Yeah. You know, they've proven, Unilever and Magnum, that they're not willing to abide by the terms of the acquisition agreement. They're not willing to respect the authority of the independent board. And it's time for us to go our separate ways.
So I'm trying to make sure I understand this correctly. So Unilever bought Ben & Jerry's, not sure when, not sure for how much. And I guess Ben & Jerry's, the two co-founders had some type of agreement where they were maybe allowed to discuss social issues. worldwide. And Unilever, I guess, in the beginning said okay, but now they're changing their mind. Man, that's tough. That's tough. I can understand both sides because on one hand you had an agreement, and on the other hand the owner changed their mind. But remember, if I think if I read correctly, the co-founder Jerry that's stepping down is actually an employee. So if the owner decides to change their mind, they pretty much have the right to do so. So, but yeah, okay.
Couple of questions on that then, Ben, because you reference, and I think people know that tensions with your parent company aren't really all that new. They have been building now for a while. So help us understand, why now? Why today? Why this week for this big announcement?
Well, Unilever announced about a year ago that they were planning to spin off their entire ice cream division. And Jerry and I went to Unilever at that time and we said, well, as long as you're going to sell the whole ice cream division, why don't you just carve out Ben & Jerry's so we could get it to be owned by investors that are aligned with the social mission to end all this conflict. And they were not willing to do that. And so now it's being transferred to Magnum, and we're going to Magnum with the same request. But the change is that we decided to make it public and to let our customers know what's going on and to ask for their support in helping to free Ben & Jerry's so that the company can continue to actualize its social mission.
You referenced Magnum in a statement.
Do you have a social mission or a money-making mission? The two are very hard to put together. I don't know. My wife and I, have this time where we're, just discussing business and meetings and that kind of thing, and conversations and that kind of thing. And we use the term talking about talking. There are so many people that just love talking about talking. You're not trying to really solve no issues by doing anything other than talking about talking. Crazy.
To us here, they have a response. They say that they disagree with Jerry's perspective, that the company engages in what they call constructive conversation on how to strengthen Ben & Jerry's powerful values-based position in the world. How do you respond to that statement?
Well, the statement is a broad generality, but if you get back to the specifics, Magnum has muzzled the company when it tries to speak out against the slaughter in Gaza, when it tries to speak out in support of freedom of speech and the right to protest, when it tries to speak out in favor of diversity, equity, inclusion, when the company tries to speak out in support of something as non-controversial as Black History Month. And so what I have to say about that comment from Magnum is that the actions of Magnum conflict with the statement that they put out.
Ben, you referenced a moment ago that this has taken a toll on Jerry's personal health, as you said. Can you share more about that? How has this affected Jerry to the degree, if it is from a health perspective, that he is now obviously stepping away from this company that he helped build?
Well, I mean, just his emotional well-being. I mean, I think that we all have different levels of conflict that we're comfortable with. I have a higher level. Jerry has a lower level. I mean, Jerry has a really, really big heart, and it's been torn apart by this conflict. He has relationships with the people at Ben and Jerry's. He has relationships with the people at Unilever, and it's just been tearing him apart. And it's better for him to not be engaged in this conflict.
Do you see a scenario, Ben, where you may follow him out the door?
No, I do not. I'm going to continue working within, as an employee to keep the spirit and the soul and the mission of Ben and Jerry's alive. That's what Jerry and I both want, and we're going to do everything we can to make that happen.
All right, good people. I'm gonna stop it right there, man. Well, hey, I actually like the ice cream. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they have a vegan option that I've tried a few times. It's a bit pricey, a little pricier than the regular ice creams, but they have a lot of different and unique flavors. Really good ice cream, though. Sad to see that one of the co-founders is stepping down for, feelings of, him not being able, rather, to express himself on social issues, global social issues, but on that. But when it comes to business and politics, you very much need to keep your political views private. That's going to be it for today, man. I'm just Major. Y'all have a good one. 3 million subscribers. Load in.